When Eli woke the next morning, the room was filled with soft blue light. The Qatari station had entered its morning cycle, and the walls glowed like calm water. For a few seconds, he didn't remember where he was. All he felt was warmth and peace. Then he noticed the gentle weight beside him. Talira was still asleep, her crystal-like skin glowing faintly gold. One of her arms was still resting lightly across his chest, and her breathing matched his. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful. Eli smiled slightly. It had been a long time since he'd felt this calm in space. No alarms, no arguments, no loneliness. But then reality came back, and his human brain started to panic a little. Oh no, what if this is against protocol? What if someone saw us like this? He carefully tried to move her arm away. Talira's eyes opened at once, glowing softly with surprise. "Ambassador, are you leaving already?" He froze. No, just stretching." She tilted her head, reading his face. "You're uncomfortable?" Eli laughed awkwardly. No, just... Humans aren't used to waking up like this, that's all." Talira sat up slowly, her expression thoughtful. "Your people do not value morning closeness?" He scratched his neck. "We do, but usually it's private, something shared with family or very close friends." Her glow turned a bit pink again. Then perhaps I was too forward," he sighed. "No, you weren't. You were just being kind." He smiled gently. "Don't worry. It's fine." Talira's light changed to a warm gold. "Then I am glad." They shared a quiet moment before Eli stood and stretched. The air was cool, and the faint hum of the station systems echoed softly. Outside the window, the Qatari homeworld glowed like a pale jewel. Later that morning, Eli and Talira walked through the long silver corridors toward the main council chamber. The walls pulsed gently with blue light, the station's way of showing calm. Qatari culture used color as language. Even the walls expressed mood. Today's meeting, however, didn't feel calm at all. The council chamber was full. Dozens of Qatari elders stood in a circle, their lights flickering in mixed colors. Tension, disagreement. When Eli entered, the lights shifted toward sharp blue and red tones. Not friendly ones. Talira's expression changed. "Something is wrong," she whispered. Eli nodded. "Yeah, I can feel that." One of the elders, tall and glowing faintly silver, stepped forward. His name was High Speaker Vorn. He was old, wise, and not exactly fond of humans. His voice carried power when he spoke. "Ambassador Carter," Vorn said, "we have received reports from the outer colonies. Human mining ships have entered our neutral zone." Eli frowned. "That's impossible. Our ships follow the agreement lines exactly." "Are you certain?" Vorn asked coldly. "Because Qatari sensors do not lie." Eli felt a wave of heat rise in his chest. "With respect, High Speaker, maybe your sensors are reading old data. I can check with Earth Command." Vorn's light flashed red. Anger. "You question our truth?" Before Eli could respond, Talira stepped forward. "High Speaker," she said softly, "Ambassador Carter speaks with honesty. I have seen his care for our customs. Let us confirm before judgment." Her words seemed to cool the room a little. Some of the council members' lights dimmed back to blue. Vorn glared at her. "You defend this human too easily, Talira." She bowed slightly. "I defend fairness, not species." That silenced him for a moment. The meeting continued with more reports, more questions, and a growing feeling of mistrust. Eli felt helpless. He wanted to defend humanity, but he also didn't want to disrespect their elders. When the session ended, Talira led him out quietly. As the doors closed behind them, Eli finally spoke. "That was bad." "Yes," she agreed softly. "Vorn has never trusted your kind." Eli exhaled. "I didn't come here to start a war." Talira placed a hand on his arm. "You did not. But sometimes peace is hardest when people fear change." He looked at her, meeting her glowing eyes. "Do you fear change?" She smiled faintly. "I feared it once. Until you arrived." That night, the mood in the station was heavy. Rumors spread fast. Some Qatari whispered that the human ambassador had come to spy, not to build peace. When Eli walked through the corridors, the walls flickered with uneasy light. Red, purple, blue. He could feel their distrust like static in the air. When he reached his quarters, Talira was already waiting, her glow dim. "I heard the whispers," she said softly. "It is not good." Eli sighed and rubbed his eyes. "No kidding. Feels like everyone's ready to send me back to Earth. They will not if I can help it." He looked up at her, surprised. "You'd stand up for me again, even if it puts you in trouble?" Yes, she said simply. Because I trust you. Those 3 words hit harder than he expected. No one had said that to him in a long time, not even back home. He gave a small, grateful smile. Thanks, Talira, that means a lot. She hesitated, then said, Tonight you should not rest alone. When emotions are in turmoil, shared rest brings balance. Eli chuckled. Is that another Qatari custom? Yes, she said, and perhaps a human one too. You said once that a hug means safety. He smiled gently. Yeah, I did. When they lay down again, the silence between them felt different. Not awkward, but heavy with unspoken thoughts. Eli's mind spun with worry. What if Earth Command had made a mistake? What if Vorn was right? Talira sensed his tension. Your thoughts are loud tonight. He laughed softly. Sorry. It's hard to relax when you might be blamed for something you didn't do. She turned to face him. On my world, when the sky storms, we wait together until it clears. Alone, fear grows. Together, it passes faster. He met her eyes. And you think that'll work for me, too? Her light shimmered gold. It will if you let it. Without a word, she moved closer than before, and wrapped her arms around him again. Eli froze for a second, then let out a slow breath. The tension in his chest eased. You humans, she whispered softly. You feel so much. It is strange, but beautiful. He smiled against her shoulder. You think feelings are beautiful? Yes, they make you brave. They make you human. Her voice trembled slightly on the last word, as if she had just discovered something important. Eli looked at her glowing face. You're learning fast, she smiled faintly. I have a good teacher. For a while they said nothing. The hum of the station surrounded them like a heartbeat. Outside, the stars drifted past silently, witnesses to a fragile friendship forming between 2 worlds. Then the intercom suddenly beeped. A voice spoke, sharp and cold. Ambassador Carter, report to command at once. There has been an incident. Talira sat up, alarm flashing red across her skin. An incident? Eli was already on his feet, heart pounding. Let's go. They ran through the corridors toward the command deck. When they arrived, several officers stood around a holographic display. Vorn was there too, his light pulsing with fury. Eli stepped forward. What happened? Vorn pointed to the display. Your ships have entered our system. Mining drones crossed the border an hour ago. Eli's stomach dropped. That can't be right. Earth Command would never. Enough. Vorn's light flared crimson. Your lies end here. Before Eli could respond, Talira moved between them. High Speaker. The ambassador had no control over those ships. You know this. Vorn glared. You protect him again. I protect truth, she said firmly. Judge with reason, not fear. The room fell silent. Eli looked at her, proud, shocked, and deeply grateful. Talira turned to him, her voice softer. We will find the truth together. I will help you, he nodded slowly. Then we'd better move fast. As they left the command deck, the corridor lights dimmed again, red, warning of conflict ahead. Eli's chest tightened. The peace he had come to build was breaking apart, and only one person still stood beside him. Talira looked at him, her glow steady and bright. Do not lose hope, Eli Carter. The stars favor those who trust. For the first time since he arrived on the station, Eli reached out first, placing his hand over hers. I trust you. Talira, he said, and in that moment her light flared gold, brighter than ever, the color of hope itself. The Qatari station buzzed with tension. Lights that once glowed calm blue now flashed red through the corridors. The peaceful hum that had surrounded Eli Carter for months now sounded like a warning siren. War was coming, unless he could stop it. Eli and Talira hurried toward the communication center. Her glowing skin shifted between gold and pink, showing both determination and fear. If the humans did not send those drones, she said, someone must want to make our people fight. Eli nodded. Yeah, someone who benefits from chaos. They entered the main console room. Dozens of holographic screens floated in the air, showing ship movements and transmission logs. Eli walked straight to the nearest terminal and started typing commands. The Qatari system recognized his diplomatic clearance, barely. He muttered to himself. Come on, there has to be something. Talira joined him, her slender hands moving over the glowing interface faster than his. Qatari records every border transmission. If we find who sent the command, we will know the truth. Minutes turned into an hour, Data scrolled across the screens in long lines of alien text. Finally, Eli spotted something strange. A coded signal repeating between Qatari relay stations and the human mining drones. "Wait," he said. "This signal isn't from Earth Command. It's bouncing through your network." Talira frowned. "You mean it came from inside the station?" He nodded grimly. "Yeah, someone here faked the order." Before they could trace it further, the doors to the console room slid open. A group of guards entered, led by High Speaker Vorn himself. His light pulsed a deep red, anger burning across his crystal skin. "Enough," he shouted. "You invade our systems now? That is how you prove innocence?" Eli raised his hands. "Vorn, listen to me. Someone here forged a signal to make it look like humans attacked your border. We can prove it." Vorn's voice was cold. "You expect me to believe lies from the mouth of a human?" "Guards, take him!" Two guards stepped forward, but Talira quickly moved between them. Her voice trembled, but she stood firm. "No, you will not touch him." Vorn's glow turned sharp crimson. "Talira, stand aside. You disgrace your people," she shook her head. "I serve truth, not pride. Look at the records yourself, High Speaker. The signal came from this station. If you will not see it, then you are blind." The words hit hard. The room fell silent. Vorn stared at her, the red light on his skin flickering uncertainly. He was angry, yes, but deep down he respected courage. He had once told his students that honor is not obedience. It is truth spoken when others fear to speak. "Show me," he said finally. Eli and Talira replayed the data. The holographic lines of communication appeared in the air like webs of light. Every signal pulse traced a path between the human mining ships and the Qatari border posts. But instead of leading to Earth Command, the source curved back to a small transmitter inside the station. Vorn leaned closer. This is from our security division." Eli nodded. "Someone here wanted both sides to fight. Maybe to take power, maybe to profit from war, but it wasn't my people." For a moment there was only silence. Then slowly, the red glow across Vorn's skin began to fade. Perhaps I judged too fast. Talira's light turned warm gold again. "You can still make it right, High Speaker. Send word to your fleets and tell them to stand down." Vorn hesitated, then gave a small nod. "Do it." The guards rushed to carry out the command. The red emergency lights in the corridor slowly turned blue again. The hum of the station softened back into peace. Eli let out a long breath he hadn't realized he was holding. That was close. Too close. Talira smiled faintly. Peace often is. Later that evening, after the crisis ended, the council gathered once again, but this time the mood was different. The lights glowed calm and warm. The elders stood in silence as Vorn addressed the room. "Today," he said, "we almost destroyed the very peace we worked for, but truth, spoken by two who trusted each other, has saved us." He turned toward Eli and Talira. "The human and the Qatari have shown what true alliance means, not through fear but through understanding." Eli nodded respectfully. "Thank you, High Speaker. We didn't do it alone. It took both of us." Vorn's light shimmered in agreement. "Then let this alliance stand, and stronger than before." The room filled with gentle gold light. Every Qatari there bowed their heads toward the human who had risked everything to prove peace was possible. That night the station finally felt calm again. The stars outside shone like bright eyes watching the rebirth of trust. Eli sat near the window of his quarters, staring at the planet below. Talira entered quietly, her glow soft and peaceful. "You should rest," she said gently. "You have done enough for one day." He smiled tiredly. "I don't think I could sleep after all that." She walked closer, folding her hands. "When my people survive a storm, we rest together, to remember that we are still alive." He chuckled softly. "You really like your customs, don't you? They remind us who we are." She looked at him seriously. "And you, Eli Carter, remind us what humanity means." He raised an eyebrow. "And what's that supposed to mean?" "That humans do not give up, even when the stars turn against them." Her gold light brightened a little. "You fight with hope. You trust when others doubt. That is beautiful." Eli smiled. "Coming from someone whose skin literally glows when they mean it, I'll take that as a compliment." Talira laughed softly, the sound like music. Then her expression softened. "Would you like to rest now? Together?" He nodded gently. "Yeah, I think I'd like that." They lay down as they had before, side by side, the warmth of the energy bed wrapping around them. This time there was no tension, no embarrassment, just quiet peace. Eli stared at the faint gold glow of her skin and said softly, "You know, when I first got here I thought you were strange. All these customs, all this talk about harmony. But now I get it. You're not trying to be perfect, you're just trying to understand." She turned her head toward him. "And you?" he smiled. "I'm trying to do the same." They lay there for a while, the hum of the station steady around them. Then Talira spoke again, her voice barely above a whisper. "You said once that humans hug to show trust." He nodded. "Yeah, then." She hesitated. "I would like to show you something from my world." She placed her hand over his heart. Her skin pulsed gold, then softly blue, then gold again, creating a slow rhythm. "This is how we share calm," she said. "Our energy joins with yours." Eli closed his eyes, feeling the warmth spread through his chest. "It's peaceful." "That is what trust feels like," she said. "Two hearts sharing one rhythm." He smiled quietly. "Then I guess that means we're friends." Her glow deepened to a bright golden hue. Friends, and something more. Two worlds, learning to beat together. Days later, when the human fleet arrived to confirm the truth, the Qatari greeted them not with suspicion, but with open arms. The false signals were traced back to a small group of smugglers who had hoped to profit from renewed conflict. Because of Eli and Talira, war was avoided. The human-Qatari alliance grew stronger, and new missions of peace began. In every report filed to Earth Command, Eli wrote the same closing line. "Sometimes peace isn't built by treaties. It's built by trust, one heartbeat at a time." That night, before leaving for Earth, Eli stood once more by the window. The stars looked closer now, like old friends. He felt a presence beside him, Talira. Her glow was calm and soft. "You are leaving tomorrow," he nodded. "Yeah, but I'll be back. Someone has to make sure you're still following human bedtime customs." She laughed lightly. "Perhaps I will visit your world next. Then we will see whose customs are stranger." Eli smiled, looking at her one last time. "Deal." She reached out and placed her hand on his shoulder. "Sleep well, Eli Carter. Wherever you rest, may your heart stay gold." He looked at her glowing eyes and felt something warm inside, something that words couldn't describe. "Good night, Talira." As he turned toward his bed for one final night on the station, he felt the same calm warmth that had once come from her touch. Humanity had crossed stars, survived loneliness, and built alliances. But in the end, what made them special wasn't their technology or power, it was their heart. Eli Turner lived a quiet life on the edge of town. His small house sat behind a wooden fence, surrounded by his favorite thing in the world, his garden. Every evening, after finishing his work at the Botanical Center, he would step outside, with his gloves, a watering can, and a small smile on his face. The sound of leaves brushing against the evening wind was his music, and the smell of damp soil was his comfort. To Eli, plants were better company than people. They didn't lie. They didn't judge. They just grew, silently and patiently. That night, however, the peace he loved so much was about to change forever. It began with a flicker of blue light. Eli was kneeling near his hydrangeas, pulling out weeds, when something flashed across the sky. It wasn't like an airplane or a shooting star. It was brighter, slower, and it changed color from blue to silver before vanishing behind the forest near his backyard. He frowned, standing up and brushing the dirt from his hands. "Another meteor?" he murmured. But his curiosity got the better of him. He grabbed a flashlight and walked through the garden gate, heading toward the trees. The night was quiet except for the chirping of crickets. His boots sank slightly into the damp ground as he moved deeper into the woods. Then he smelled something strange, like metal burning in the rain. When he reached the clearing, he saw it, a small crater glowing faintly with blue mist. The air shimmered around it as if alive with energy. Eli froze. He had seen lightning strikes, wildfires, and all kinds of strange natural things before, but never anything like this. Then he heard it, a faint sound, soft and trembling, like someone breathing through pain. He stepped closer, and his flashlight beam fell upon a figure lying half buried in the grass. It was a girl, or at least she looked like one. Her skin was pale with a slight shimmer almost reflecting the starlight. Her hair, silver and long, looked wet though the ground was dry. And her eyes, when they opened, glowed faintly blue. Eli gasped and took a step back. "Are you hurt?" he asked carefully. The girl blinked, confused, her gaze moving from him to the trees. "This is not the right world," she whispered, her voice soft and melodic, like wind over glass. Eli's heart raced. He didn't understand what she meant, but he could see she was terrified and weak. "Hey, don't move, you might be injured," he said, kneeling beside her. "I'll call for help." "No," she said suddenly, grabbing his wrist. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "No one must know, they're searching. They will find me." Eli stared at her. "Who will find you?" She shook her head, her eyes darting to the sky. "Please, I just need to stay hidden. Only for a while." Something in her voice made Eli hesitate. He should have gone back, called the police, or told someone from the research center. But instead, he found himself saying, "All right, I'll help you. But you need to move before someone sees the light." She nodded weakly. Eli helped her to her feet, wrapping his jacket around her shoulders. She was lighter than she looked. Together, they walked back to his garden, careful not to leave too many tracks behind. When they reached the greenhouse, he opened the door quietly and guided her inside. The moment she stepped in, the plants reacted. The vines trembled softly, flowers opened slightly, and even the air seemed to glow a little. Eli blinked in disbelief. "That's new," he whispered. The girl's breathing slowed. "Your plants, they feel alive," she said softly, sitting down near a row of orchids. "They are," Eli replied. "But they don't usually do that." For a long time, neither of them spoke. Eli brought her a blanket, some water, and a few strawberries from his kitchen. She looked at the fruit with curiosity, holding it as if it were a gem. When she tasted one, her eyes widened with pure wonder. "It's sweet," she said. "So simple, but perfect." Eli smiled. "That's what everyone says about strawberries." She looked at him, tilting her head. "You are kind. Why?" He blinked. "Because you needed help, isn't that enough?" Her expression softened, but there was deep sadness in her eyes. "On my world, kindness is rare. People help only when they gain something." Eli thought about that for a moment. "Then maybe Earth isn't so bad compared to your world," he said. She smiled faintly, but her smile faded as soon as they heard a faint humming noise outside. Eli turned off the lantern and looked through the greenhouse glass. A small drone, black and sleek, hovered above the trees, scanning the area with red lights. Lyra, that was her name, he learned later, tensed up. "They've already come," she whispered. Eli's heart pounded. He whispered back, "Stay low." The drone passed slowly, its red beam slicing across the garden, but it didn't linger. After a few tense minutes, it disappeared into the night sky. Eli let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. "What was that?" "They are seekers," Lyra said softly. "Hunters. They track me across the stars. They don't stop." He looked at her, confusion and fear mixing in his mind. "You're serious, aren't you? You're not from here." She nodded. "I am not human. My world is far away, beyond your sun. I was a scientist. I escaped when they tried to use my work for war." Her voice shook slightly. "I thought I could hide here on this small blue world. But they followed." Eli rubbed his face, trying to process everything. He wanted to believe she was just delusional, but the evidence, the light, her eyes, the drone, it all felt too real. Finally, he said, "All right, you can stay here for now. My garden's not much, but it's quiet. No one comes by at night." Lyra looked at him gratefully. "You are not afraid?" Eli shrugged lightly. "Maybe I am, but fear doesn't mean I'll turn away." Her eyes glowed softly, a sign of emotion he couldn't fully read. "You are different, Eli Turner." He smiled a little. "That's what my coworkers say too." That night, Eli set up a small bed in the greenhouse for her, surrounded by ferns and flowers. She watched the stars through the glass ceiling, whispering in a language he couldn't understand. When she finally fell asleep, Eli stood quietly, looking at her. The night outside was peaceful again, but deep down, he knew his life would never be the same. Somewhere out there, beyond the stars, something was searching for her, and somehow he, a simple gardener, had become part of it. He turned off the light, looked at his glowing plants, and whispered to himself, "Guess I've got a new neighbor." The wind rustled through the leaves in reply, carrying a faint shimmer of blue light through the garden.